Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to be here today and talk to you fine people, each one of you equally important to this great country. But I'm not very sure whether this is the right time, because more than a speaking time, this is a kind of yawning time. I'm sure that if someone could convert your chairs into a charpai, you'll be snoring in 2 minutes. But if General Katwal can keep you awake, I'm sure he has done a good job for me, and I must thank him for that. Worse is when I have to talk to you about a subject which even I am not very familiar with. That's about the ocean. That's about the sea. That's about what many of you have not seen. I had a student who joined the Indian Coast Guard from Dehradun, and that was the first time he saw the sea. And when we were in the middle of the sea, he virtually panicked and ran inside the ship. Well, we could train him, and today he likes the sea better than Dehradun. But the worst was, it took him about a month to understand what he thought was a building was actually a ship. That was in Chennai harbor. Sir, I never thought that was a ship. I thought that was a building. So in a situation like this, I am not at all surprised if a politician with all kind of experience doesn't understand about maritime security or the sea. And there is nothing special about it also, because 3 years back when I was doing a study abroad on various countries and their relationship with the seas, I found in fact almost all of them are in the same boat. That's good for us if our enemy doesn't know much. But then we cannot relax on that kind of a self-acknowledged rationalization. India has shown great endurance as well as tolerance in maritime affairs, especially when people from other countries came across the sea and colonized us. We had a lot of violence in our history, and we have withstood almost all of them. All those invaders who came by the land, they settled down with us, or some of them left us, like Alexander the Great or whatever we call. But it is only those who came by the sea, starting with Vasco da Gama, who colonized India and virtually squeezed it out of the resources. There is a lesson here, a lesson which we have to learn, that if we neglect the ocean, we may have a lot of problems, which we have today. And that's so with almost all the countries in the world. First time in my life, I spoke to an audience. I think I was 7 years old. I was asked to speak in a school function. I was in the 2nd or 3rd standard. But I didn't know what to say and how to say it. So my uncle coached me. He made a script which I had to read and by heart and keep talking to him, rehearsing with him. And I was very good. I went to the stage on that specific day, and immediately when I looked in the front, I saw my headmaster. And behind him were my teachers. None of them I liked. So immediately I panicked. I forgot everything what my uncle taught me. I just couldn't get a word coming out of my mouth. But somehow I gathered courage and I spoke about India. I spoke a lot beyond what the moderator is going to say today. And when I finished, my uncle told me, who was in the audience, that was better than what he taught me. In fact, I never said a word what he taught me because I forgot. I belonged to a town called Calicut in Kerala, and all what I was familiar was coconut trees and the beach. So I spoke about coconut trees and the beach and the ocean and told them how good and how beautiful ocean is. So that's how I started my love affair with the sea. And today, you're telling me that I'm in the Coast Guard, but I had served in the Indian Navy. I fought the war in Indian Navy in the Western Front. I set up the Customs Marine Organization, met the smugglers, talked to them. It was Haji Mastan who told me that he never knew he was violating a rule when he first smuggled certain contraband to India. He said he bought it from where it was cheap and thought he will get more money when he sell it in Bombay. Like that, I have interacted with so many people, and from there you learn the real lesson that if you have to catch a thief, you have to think like a thief. If you have to kill the terrorist, you got to behave exactly like him. You cannot have any other doors open. This is the kind of philosophy which we have to deal with the sea. If you have to deal with the sea, you got to be as violent as the sea or as calm as the sea, depending upon the situation. India has many neighbors. A very friendly neighbor in Nepal and many other friendly neighbors around. I don't consider anybody as your enemy, because if you consider your neighbor is your enemy, you're violating one of the laws of Chanakya, who advised Chandragupta Maurya long time back, that never treat your neighbor as your enemy, even if he is your enemy. If I come across, then we will find that there are 7 neighbors for us in our maritime border. Out of these 3 of them, we also have land borders. If you take Pakistan, we have issues in the maritime border with Pakistan. We have what we call the Sur Creek issue. We have the issue of the mythical Saraswati river, which is underground today in that channel. Sur Creek issue which we have with Pakistan is as old as Kashmir issue, if at all we can call them as issues. India is a big country. We cannot have issues. We resolve problems. We take on the problems. We don't consider that, like a doctor doesn't consider disease a disease. He cures it. But this problem with Pakistan which we have is very interesting. It is going on and it will continue going on. There are a lot of oil underwater. There are a lot of other resources underwater. So we have this problem with Pakistan, and we have not resolved this particular case. As a result, out of the 7 states which we have as border countries, we have a problem unresolved, which will affect our maritime borders declaration, even other side of Pakistan. When we come to Bangladesh, there was an island which came up all of a sudden in 1978. Please understand, in the sea, there are times when certain portion of the land will vanish in seconds and pieces of land will come up in no time. Ownership of this land, whether you lose it or whether you gain it, becomes a big issue in establishing geo-property rights. This is a subject which is not studied yet. There are islands which are now worried about the country going underwater, like Kiribati, like Maldives. What will happen to those